For killing his wife, Samuel Collins stands at level 2. This is the level reserved for jealous lovers who are not psychopathic, and place her at a level 3 on the scale, non-psychopathic, impulsive people who act as willing accomplices with. I put Martha Ann Johnson lower on the scale at level 5, a place reserved for traumatic, desperate persons who kill impulsively and without much foresight. I rank Bardo low on the scale at level 6. I would have initially placed him at 6 for hot-headed and impetuous murders. Daniel Nieto may have, at the height of his criminal life, been around level 6 on the scale for impulsive, hot-headed persons who have done violent crimes. For the revenge killing of his estranged wife and 4 other people, I placed Westbrook at level 6 on my scale, the level reserved for impetuous, hot-headed murderers who do not have psychopathic traits and who kill impulsively and on the spur of the moment. That is why I place him at level 7. Killers in this category are extremely narcissistic, scheming, and driven by resentment. Highly egocentric murderers who kill loved ones for narcissistic reasons. Highly egocentric murderers who kill for narcissistic reasons. I put Harris at level 7. Highly narcissistic, but not distinctly psychopathic persons who kill loved ones primarily due to jealousy. I place him at level 7, paranoid killers with a psychotic core, at a level 8, which is reserved for non-psychopathic persons with smoldering rage who kill when the rage is ignited.
Ron Love, for his unwavering complicity in the Avery murders, falls at level 9.
Jealous lovers with marked psychopathic features. The threat to her domestic status was enough to drive her to extreme levels of aggression and eventually to murder. I place him at number 10 on my scale for egocentric, psychopathic killers.
Dr. Stone moves her up the scale to a level 10, egocentric killers who kill.
Killers of witnesses or people in the way. Which is reserved for power-hungry psychopaths. I place Martin Bryant at level 13A, reserved for inadequate, rageful personalities with psychopathy who are also mentally ill. And I place her at a 13 on my scale, the level for inadequate, rageful personalities with psychopathy.
Dr. Stone places Ed Gein at a level 13 out of 22 on his scale of evil.
He does not have bizarre delusions, however, and despite his low IQ, he does know right from wrong. For these reasons, I place Yusef Rahman on my scale of evil at level 13. Because of the severity of his crimes, I place Richard Farley at level 14 on the scale. This place is reserved for egocentric schemers. To create a new life based on lies, I consider him a ruthless, self-centered, psychopathic schemer.
John List is a level 14 on Dr. Stone's scale.
Puts her in a category where the majority of killers reside, level 14. These killers are ruthlessly self-centered and calculating. That they got away with their crimes for over 6 years, taking many lives. For those reasons, I put them both at level 14, the place on my scale reserved for ruthlessly self-centered schemers. He therefore earns a place of 15, a psychopathic, cold-blooded, spree, or multiple murderer. His quantity of evil was greater than that of Collins and Harris. I placed Dorothea at 15 on the scale, psychopathic, cold-blooded spree, or multiple murderers. Archie McCafferty is such an unusual case. For his crimes, I would place him at level 15 on my scale, the place ordinarily reserved for psychopathic, cold-blooded, multiple murderers. 15 on my scale of evil. a psychopathic, cold-blooded spree murderer. They would both also rank at 15 as psychopathic spree killers. I placed Charles Manson at level 15 on my scale of evil, a psychopathic spree murderer.
It is for this reason that Dr. Stone places the members of Jonestown who committed murder at level 15 for the cold-blooded spree of multiple killings.
Leads me to place him at a category 15 on my scale of evil. I place him at level 15, multiple vicious acts. I would place her on level 16 on my scale of evil, psychopaths willing to commit multiple vicious acts. For these reasons, I put him at level 16. He was not merely an extreme stalker. He showed sustained malicious inclinations. Myra belongs at level 16 on my scale of evil. Although we only killed one victim, I put him at level 16 on my scale, the place reserved for self-centered psychopaths who commit multiple vicious acts. Not only do they murder to solidify their bond, but they murder for the joy of it. Because of this, I placed them at level 16, multiple vicious acts. Because of his multiple murderous and abusive power, I place him at level 16, a place reserved for psychopaths committing multiple vicious acts. I would place the killers at level 16 on my scale, which I reserve for psychopathic schemers who commit extraordinary and repeated vicious acts. I would place him on level 16, a place reserved for psychopaths committing multiple vicious acts. Therefore, I place him at level 16, psychopaths committing multiple vicious acts with one or two extraordinarily vicious acts. In consideration the violent sexual nature of his crimes, which probably would not have occurred but for the drug abuse, lead me to place him at a higher level, 17.
He places him with other sexually perverse serial murderers who are not psychotic. Arthur Shawcross is a level 17.
I place him at level 17, a level reserved for manipulative killers who punish and torment society at large. Wuornos's ruthless, predatory crimes place her at level 17. He was callous, unmoved by the emotional terror he inflicted. I'd place him with other sexually perverse serial killers.
Ted Bundy is a level 17. Gary Ridgway is one level above Ted Bundy, level 18 on Dr. Stone's scale of evil.
I'd consider him a torture murderer, driven to kill to avoid detection, level 18 on my scale.
Jerome Brudos is a level 18 on Dr. Stone's scale of evil.
I place him at a level 18 on my scale, the level reserved for psychopaths preoccupied with murder and who also commit torture to a relatively brief degree. It's for these reasons that I placed the murderer, whoever he was, at level 18 on my scale, serial murderers that are sexually perverse. Because of the cunning, predatory nature of his crimes and the torture he subjected some of his victims to, I place him at level 20 on my scale.
Dr. Stone reserves the highest place on his scale for Jeffrey Dahmer.
I would place George Hodel at the very top of my scale, level 22, psychopathic torture murderers with torture their primary motive.
For the design and execution of more than 900 innocent people, Jim Jones falls out at the top of Dr. Stone's scale, 22. Are at the highest level of his scale, level 22.
I place him on the highest level on my scale.
Dennis Rader is a level 22 on Dr. Stone's scale of evil.
Because he made his victims endure prolonged torture, and because he also denied his crimes, I would place him on the highest level, 22, on my scale of evil. For that reason, I would place him on level 22 on my scale. This is the highest level on my scale. His crimes of domination and torture place him on the highest level of my scale of evil, level 22 for psychopathic torture murderers. I place Judy at number 22, the highest level on my scale, psychopathic torture murderers with torture their primary motive. Because Ian Brady was a torture murderer, I place him at level 22 on my scale. Because their plans were so horrifyingly detailed, and because they made their victims endure prolonged torture, I would place both of them at the highest level of my scale, 22.
Dr. Stone considers Heidnik more evil than Ed Gein and Arthur Shawcross because he made his victims endure prolonged torture. Gary Heidnik ranks the highest on Dr. Stone's scale of evil.
For these reasons, I put Holmes at number 22, the highest level of the scale. A true sexual sadist, he took pleasure in the extreme and prolonged torture of his victims. He belongs at level 22. For this reason, Adolfo Constanzo scores a 22 on my scale. This is the highest category on the scale.
Wesley Dodd is a level 22 on Dr. Stone's scale of evil.
I would place him on level 22 of my scale. This is the highest category, a place for torture murderers whose crimes involve butchery. For these reasons, he reaches the highest level of my scale, a level 22, the place reserved for the most brutal criminals who torture and inflict tremendous suffering on their victims.